now.
Yeah, good to have you back.
Thank you. Former US President Donald Trump has made a legal complaint over what they call Labour's blatant foreign interference in the US election.
It comes as Sophia Patel, who is the head of, she's the head of operations at the Labour Party, tweeted and since deleted, quote, "Nearly 100 current and former Labour Party staff are going to battleground states in the US election to campaign for Kamala Harris, with the party offering to sort your housing."
Don't forget, back in 2018, our Foreign Secretary David Lammy said that Trump is a woman-hating, neo-Nazi, sympathising sociopath. That's right, just to read that again. He said that Trump is a woman-hating, neo-Nazi, sympathising sociopath. And yesterday,
the chief executive of X, or Twitter, as I still call it, Elon Musk, retweeted an article that claims Labour want to clamp down on his social media platform. He retaliated, saying, "This is war."
So much for that special relationship between America and Trump, if Trump wins the election. And what does this tell us, really, about how this Labour Party are operating, Andrew? I think there's sort of two sides to this story, isn't there? There's this idea of election interference, and there's this idea that this Centre for Countering Digital Hate, which is linked to the Labour Party and linked to Morgan McSweeney, want to bring down X and effectively clamp down on free speech.
Yeah, and there's been a long tradition of party workers, party supporters going to America to campaign on the Republican side, the Democrat side. But it is this tweet from Sophia Patel, which she's deleted too late, where it implies a sense of organisation by the Labour Party, and that would be potentially in breach of American election law.
That's right. Well, let's speak to Paul Richards, former Labour Special Advisor and columnist. Morning, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us again. Always nice to see you. Do you think that Labour Party could be guilty of breaching American election law?
Absolutely 100% not. I think this says far more about the deranged and desperate state of the Trump campaign with 2 weeks to go. They know they're losing, than it does anything to do with people going over volunteering and helping, and this offer of accommodation. I mean, people go pay their own way. They take their own leave from work if they're working, and they go over there and do it off their own bat, just like Nigel Farage did when he went over there to campaign, and when Liz Truss does as well. They do it as volunteers, whether it's on the Democrat or the Republican side.
Well, Nigel was on GB News this morning on Breakfast, and we will find a clip of that to play our viewers this morning, because his argument was it's about who is paying for these trips, and if there is any suggestion...
But it's not the Labour Party paying for them. It's not the Labour Party paying for them. People do this, and they have done, by the way, for the 30 or 40 years that I'm aware of. People went over to support Bill Clinton and then Hillary Clinton and all points in between. We have a sort of internationalist ethos in the Labour Party. I know it's an old-fashioned idea, but we look beyond our own borders and want to see progressives win all over the world. And people will go over and campaign, also because they're political nerds and they love all that, in other countries, and they do it as volunteers, and they pay their own way, and they take time off work to do this. I know normal people find this a bit bizarre way to spend your holiday, but if you're in politics, then this is Christmas. A big election like this, you go over there and you get stuck in talking to people on doorsteps. But it's not interference to do this. It's Americans in the UK will campaign here too. It's just what goes on.
I spoke to a Labour MP, Paul, earlier, who said that Sophia Patel, the head of operations, screwed up. She should not have put that tweet out because it suggests that the Labour machine is getting involved in the organisation of this in terms of housing. And the Trump say this amounts to a broader effort of a foreign national power, which would be illegal.
Well, it's not. It's individual volunteers going over there because it's a cause they believe in. If you look at Sophia's tweet, and she says "I," she doesn't say "we." It's not organised. It's her as an individual volunteer.
Yeah, but she's head of operations. And
mobilising other volunteers. But, I mean, that was not an official piece of Labour Party
Why she deleted it,
communication.
Why did she delete it? Why did she delete it? It's implied she thinks she's done something wrong.
Because of the opprobrium heaped up on her by people who read it in a different way. And it was obviously the wording was bad, and, she should have perhaps done it from a private account. I don't know. But the point being, there aren't any organised efforts. It is just simply volunteers going over there, as they always have. I can remember people coming back from the 1992 election with all kinds of lessons learned from the Bill Clinton campaign, which then they applied into the Labour Party campaign at Millbank. And there's always been this sort of cross-Atlantic trade in ideas, but also in organising. And people go over and help and learn and make friends over there and come back, and the other way too. It's perfectly normal. And like I say, it's just more about Trump. I mean, he's going to be the oldest man ever to be standing as president. If he wins, he'll be the oldest president ever. I think his mind is in question now, that this is a thing he's doing with 2 weeks to go before the election. Some of the language is incredibly intemperate, and just shows that they are desperate at this stage of the campaign.
But we want, if he wins the election, we want Keir Starmer's government to have a good relationship with the Trump administration. Whatever you think of him, Paul, this won't help.
Well, I think the big geopolitics of the relationship between the UK and the US is utterly unaffected by this. This is just campaign froth. I mean, of course, Keir Starmer's made the point, I think this morning, or certainly in the last few hours, that it does nothing to undermine the UK's relationship with the US, which is strategically vital, of course, regardless of who the Prime Minister is and regardless of who the American president is. And it transcends that. But this is the campaign. This is not the administration in the States. And this is a campaign tactic, which I just think it looks desperate.
The influence of Elon Musk in this mess as well, Paul, is important. He is obviously campaigning very hard for Trump. He's put on X himself a post saying this is war, about his conflict with the Labour Party and this document that has been leaked from the Centre for Countering Digital Hate, which is a Labour-affiliated organisation.
It's not, hang on, it's Bev, it's not affiliated to the Labour Party formally. I mean, there may be people who work in
Correct.
it who are Labour, but it's not affiliated.
Absolutely, stand corrected, absolutely. But the people who are working for the CCDH are Labour, generally are sympathetic to the Labour cause, put it that way. They're not
Some are, some aren't, I don't know.
Okay.
But, that's not a crime, is it?
Correct, but Morgan McSweeney is involved in that organisation, is he not?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
But I can imagine there are Labour people involved in it because we do care about the state of our social media. And if you've been on X recently, but I mean, it's pretty horrific now from where it was 10 years ago.
I disagree. I think in terms of being a place for free speech, I think it's one of the most important places that we have, which is absolutely upholding free speech. And that is what Elon Musk will say. He wants the conversations to be had on there. He wants debates to be held. You don't ever work out the truth of any issue unless you have the oxygen of conversation about difficult issues particularly. And for him to...
Well, I totally agree with that. I mean, that's true. And that's what we're doing now. But I just think if you look at X, if you go on it for any sustained period, it seems to be people fighting each other. It's Elon Musk's own views on things, often falsehoods that he puts on his own platform, advertising for Bitcoin. I mean, it just seems like an absolute hellscape now. And it wasn't 10 years ago. It was genuine debate. There was a lot of, it was cool, it was robust and we all enjoy that. But now it just seems to have skewed into something else, which is why lots of people are leaving it. It's not a legitimate place for the kind of free speech that you and I would support.
But the people who are leaving X are the people who don't want to have open debates. Elon Musk's absolute raison d'etre at the moment is to be a platform for free speech, which is why the Centre for Countering Digital Hate is targeting X and saying we want to kill X, and we want to do that via the advertising. That's very dark, Paul, in terms of whether we want to live in democracies where we can have open debate.
Well, I don't believe that X is open debate. I think it is skewing the debate off into a dark place and sort of pumping out all kinds of information which is not true.
In your opinion.
And we saw that with the rioting in this country, but certainly globally, it's sort of trying to shape a politics of populism that is not open to discussion of ideas and the free trade of different ideology and all of those things that we value so highly. It's taking it into an entirely different dark place. And I think that's why, I mean, I don't speak for this organisation, but I can see why they are concerned, because the way that X has really turned away from open democratic discussion into something else completely in the last few months.
OK. All right, Paul. Thank you. Good to see you as always. Paul Richards there, former
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Special advisor. Thank
just
you.
But Morgan McSweeney, of course, is a very important figure in Number 10.
Thank you.
He is the new Chief of Staff in Number 10. He was Director of Strategy. He ousted
Absolutely.
Sue Gray. He's a very... In fact, Keir Starmer doesn't think without Morgan McSweeney telling him what to think.
And if Morgan McSweeney, to any degree, is involved with the Centre for Countering Digital Hate and has on his to-do list bring down X, that tells you everything you need to know about what this Labour Party think about free speech.
That would be the Prime Minister's view, because they are as one.
Yeah, well...
they're closer than Brown and Blair.
I'm sorry, but this idea, as Paul was just saying there, that he doesn't believe that X necessarily is factual, this idea that truth is always categorical, it isn't.
Well, yeah, and anyway, people can put in erroneous information out. You don't have to believe it.
That's right, absolutely.